Today in the Diz List, we discuss the Diz List March Madness winner and EPCOT festivals.
Welcome to the Diz List, the podcast that lists everything in Walt Disney World. I'm Nick.
And I'm Rob, and welcome to episode 92, where we discuss the Diz List March Madness winner and what EPCOT festivals we'd like to see.
This is fun. We this week we did the final four on our Instagram page.
Yep.
Got a lot of participation throughout this. I just wanted to thank everybody before we even get started. Thank people who reached out and voted and communicated with us throughout this whole process. A lot of people. We had a lot of fun engagement. I had a lot of good conversations with people online about, I can't believe this one won, or can't believe that one beat it by that much.
Yeah.
Reacting to our shows.
Well, this stuff's cool.
Yeah, so I'm glad that we got the amount of engagement that we did. Not just because it's always good to get engagement online, but just to talk with listeners and stuff.
No, I don't know who the official winner is. You're the only one that does.
Correct.
Because you're holding the data in your hand.
I am.
So I will be surprised with everyone else.
You know this round, though, because you know who made it to the finals.
Yeah, of course.
So in the final four that we voted on Wednesday,
Magic Kingdom.
We had Magic Kingdom versus Animal Kingdom, so it was Big Thunder Mountain versus Flight of Passage.
Yep. There's no bad matchups at all when you get to the final four.
Not at all. Not at all. So that particular vote, I was actually very shocked in the result.
Yeah, I was a little bit too.
So in that vote, Big Thunder won 61-39.
Yeah, and it's a classic.
I'm so excited when I saw that it did that.
Yeah.
Not because I don't like Flight of Passage, but because it, like the classic made it to the finals. I was really excited about that. That was kind of cool. The classic making it, I thought was, appropriate.
Agree.
In the round with EPCOT versus Hollywood Studios, we had Cosmic Rewind going up against Rise of the Resistance.
Could be two of the biggest guns right now.
I mean, they're probably the two biggest as far as franchises, I would say, right?
If you look at if you look at Guardians as the Marvel franchise, yes, then I would completely agree, which it is.
Right.
Even though it's one specific arm of it. I guess you could look at Star Wars the same way, because that particular ride is one specific arm of Star Wars, and it's the newer trilogy, right?
Right.
So you could look at it that same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this also surprised me. Although I think that eventually what I'm seeing here is the reliability or the lack thereof, the non-reliability of Rise of Resistance caught up with it here. Because Cosmic Rewind won 77-23.
I would have picked Cosmic Rewind even if Rise of the Resistance was perfectly reliable. I still would have picked that ride. What about you?
I mean, yeah, I would not. Voted.
If you look at both those rides and they both function perfectly all the time, and you got to pick one or the other.
Oh yes, I understand that. But there is a lot of look. We got a lot of feedback from people. I really hope this thing doesn't win because I don't like roller coasters.
Really?
Whether it would be...
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
Whether it was Cosmic Rewind or Big Thunder or...
Right.
Any of the roller coasters, there were people who were like, I can't do roller coasters.
Right.
So Cosmic Rewind wins, setting up a ridiculous final of the classic versus the new.
Yeah.
The one that purposely kind of is rickety and shakes you. And the one that
not in an awful way, like our wooden roller coaster that's a few miles from here. Not really, a little more than a few, but that one shakes you till you feel like you're going to throw up, and your intestines,
your teeth are rattled.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, but like
the right amount of rattle.
Correct.
Yeah.
Versus the shiny new,
perfectly smooth.
Yeah, absolutely as smooth as smooth can be.
Yeah, and that was one of the things I said when we got off the ride. I turned to you and I'm like, man, that was smooth.
Yeah. So you put those two, I mean, the juxtaposition of the two things up against each other I thought was kind of unique.
Yeah.
So I want to know, because now you're not going to influence anybody. Last week on the show, you said, okay, I'm saying it in my head. I know who I think is going to win.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think you probably picked what I think you did. I think you probably picked the winner.
Well, it's my favorite ride, and right now, if I'm doing a Diz list of best rides right now, in Walt Disney World specifically, it's Cosmic Rewind. That's my number one.
Okay.
And that's what I said out loud in my head the other day that would win the whole thing.
You want to take a shot at the votes?
Yeah.
Let's
do. I think it's closer than I probably imagine. I'm going to go 60-40 Cosmic Rewind.
No.
Really?
Cosmic Rewind won.
Okay, so I got that.
Yep. And it was a bigger gap than you thought.
Okay.
70-30.
Oh, I was just going to say 80-20. Okay.
70-30 Cosmic Rewind.
All right.
We joked along the way about how our listeners were getting things wrong sometimes. If you're picking the best ride at Walt Disney World right now, it's this. And if Tron were maybe twice as long, then that would be a rival. But it is Cosmic Rewind by a long shot. They got it right. So I'm really excited that they got it right. I also love that they put Big Thunder in the finals.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I don't mind Big Thunder losing. Just seeing the old versus the new and that getting that far is just awesome. Because, I love me some classic rides.
Yeah. So I was really excited about doing this whole process. And
it's great.
It was fun. It gave us a month worth of shows.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that we got the interaction. We did. Tons of new people started following us because of it. So it was a lot of fun, and I'm excited about that. Do you want to reveal a little bit about some of the plans we have in the making?
Yeah. So we have a 100th episode coming up, which is kind of cool. It's kind of a big event for us.
Yeah.
We say all the time that when we started this, we didn't know we'd get through 5 episodes, and now we're to 100 episodes, and people actually listen to us, which is awesome, and we're very thankful for that. It's great. And so what we'd like to do for our 100th episode is we'd like to turn it over to the listeners. And we, luckily, both of us have a pretty thick skin, and we are requesting people to roast the hosts.
Yeah.
So you can, let's see, what do we have? We have people who can send in a message that we can read.
Right.
We can send in an audio message.
Yep.
So actually, we have a one student that listens to the show. I was going to have him record something because he knows us both quite well.
Yeah.
Do you have him in class right now?
I do.
Okay, that's great. I'm his advisor for a club too. So we may get students. We're hoping to get spouses, listeners, maybe our kids.
I've already opened it up to patrons. Patrons have been they've been sending stuff
already.
Yes. Yeah.
Now you're not reading it though, right?
You
can copy paste.
I have read some of it because some of I have not. If it's coming through as a roast and I notice that, I'm going to put it aside. Just I want to read that.
All right, good.
However, the other thing is, some of our patrons have sent, at least one has sent a list of their favorite episodes. So if you'd rather not roast us and you'd prefer to just, hey, this is something I enjoy about the show.
Yeah, if you don't want to roast us and you want to say, hey, you guys are doing a great job. I like this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah, top five things about.
You can be
whatever.
nice too.
So,
you don't have to be mean.
So one of our,
but we're good with it if you are. And we've done it before. So a longtime listener, Mark, who has sent in, I can't even remember what episode. That's one thing I'm not good at is, and our listener was, you told me that our listener really quickly rattled off what the best episodes were.
Yeah.
But we've had 2 different episodes where Mark has sent in top 5, well, kind of roasting me and roasting Nick. And we can always bring that up. But I think, Mark, if you're listening, we need another list.
Yeah.
I think it was
top 5 things you say.
Top 5 things I say all the time.
Yeah,
and then top 5 things you say all the time.
Yep. Yeah. So we just wanted to put that out there. The best way to do it is actually to join up over on Patreon. You can join as a free member and then send us a message.
Yep.
So it does not cost money to join over on Patreon, and then you can send a message there. If you want to send a message over on Instagram, that's cool too.
And you get emails through Patreon too. So obviously I'm a host of the show, but I signed up on Patreon so that I can also just see what emails are coming out, and I can go in and comment, and
Right.
Nick can go in and comment as himself too.
Yeah. So, that's not. It doesn't cost money to be a patron, a Patreon follower. It
Right.
just costs money if you wanted to get one of the tiers. Which, by all means, if that's something you'd like, and you get early access to new episodes and bonus content, we've got.
Well, the bonus content too. I feel like we don't talk about this a lot. Is we do
44 episodes.
We do an extra episode every week.
Right.
So we do our full episode, which they're close to an hour. We do like
a 20-minute
20-minute episode on whatever's happening that week, or sometimes we do those different games where we spin the wheel and we have to retheme stuff.
Favorite fix and flatten.
Yeah. So I don't want this to be a huge sales pitch, but you can just go on and just follow us, and you can. It's almost kind of like a mailing list.
Yeah, and I will say this. So, not necessarily like Rob said, this isn't a sales pitch. It is really easy for us to communicate with people there. So and I'm trying to get better about making posts in addition to just our audio posts. But the other thing is that if you go over there and follow us there, you're privy to any kind of stuff usually a little bit earlier. Not necessarily the episodes if you're not a paid member, but like this, I posted about the roast the host thing last week over on Patreon.
And you already had a bunch of people respond.
Correct.
That's great.
We're gonna try to get our friends from Rope Drop and Park Hop. We're gonna try to get our friends at Ear Scouts to do it. So it should be a fun time. I'm really excited about it. And in fact, because this is our spring break was so close to February this year. It's weird. Mm-hmm. We're going back on vacation again here.
Yeah.
I went away for February break. You're going away for this break. So as a result, we're going to have a gap where we can't record. Mm-hmm. But what we've decided to do is our main episode next week is actually going to be a repurposed Patreon episode that we lovingly called the Villain Origin Story. So you guys will get a little bit of a sneak peek into what a Patreon episode is like, because we each did the Rob origin story, where his love of Disney came from and how it evolved. And then we did mine and how it evolved. And so that will be an episode next week. So you'll kind of get a preview too. So, another reason to stick around and make sure you're listening. Speaking of patrons, I wanted to say that this week's halftime show is brought to you by our newest patron, Brian S.
Cool.
Brian S. has been a follower of ours on Instagram for a while. So I'm really excited that he decided to join up on Patreon as well.
Cool. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you very much. And if you too would like to be a patron and you wanted to follow along either for free or on a paid tier, it's www.patreon.com/DizListPod. But we're going to head to the halftime show brought to you by Brian S. Welcome back. Today on the Diz List, we're going to talk about the top 5 festivals we would like to see come to EPCOT. EPCOT's known for their festivals, and they've kind of rearranged some stuff that led me to speculate that potentially they'd be coming in with a new festival.
And based on some of these ideas they'll have to rearrange what they have already for some, you'll see.
Yeah. Well, mine as well. So mine would need to be either rearranged. Some of them would require rearrangement. Some of them would require them completely not discontinuing, but shortening ones. Yeah. Other ones would have to be. But, what's happened is, and what we've seen is, Food and Wine now is from July, mid-July, through until the Festival of the Holidays.
Yeah.
And what they end up doing is they have these booths are open for the first half and these booths are open for the second half. Here's an idea. Make
it a separate thing.
Make it shorten it, make it one, make a separate thing.
Yep.
And just always have a festival, whatever festival is going on. I don't have a problem with them.
Yeah.
Especially now that they've opened that front part where they're doing those, the Communicore area. So I'm excited to hear what you had to say.
Yeah.
Because
me too. I have no clue. Sometimes we think we're going to be totally different, and then we laugh because we overlap more than we think.
I would bet that we have at least one that I know of that I put on my list, high on my list, that I'll bet we match up on. But
Okay.
I'll let you go ahead.
All right.
You're going to go ahead and start.
Yeah, yeah.
By the way, this feels weird. It's been a while.
Since we did a top 5.
Yeah. All right, go ahead.
Number 5 for me is Festival of Sport. So for Festival of
great
Sport, each country demos their own unique sport. Well, I know other, like football, soccer is everywhere, right? And maybe one of the countries could spotlight that, but I'm talking like cricket is demonstrated in the UK, and you can walk back and see some cricket players and see how the game works, and then the food is connected to it, which what is kind of a traditional food that would be at a sporting event? Okay, if you go to US right away, chicken wings for football, right? Hot dogs for baseball. Like that type of thing will be the featured food for that country, but it would differ depending on where you were. So other ones I had down here, like handball is huge in Germany. They have a handball league, so they'll be, I don't know how they would set it up, but I see you think this is cool. I do too. And my favorite one, I left the best for last, is in Mexico. They're gonna set up a wrestling ring, and there's
luchadors.
Luchador, yes. There's gonna be lucha libre wrestling, which is different. Lucha libre wrestling is more about like acrobatics and like doing flips, and it's very, very cool to watch. So lucha libre wrestling, I would say the best way to describe it, if the listeners have no idea and like, oh, wrestling, sure, whatever. It's kind of half gymnastics and like, how do you even describe it? It's flipping through the air.
I don't know other than to say it's very acrobatic, very athletic.
Incredible to watch.
It's not just two massive men going like at each other.
Yeah,
like,
they're mid-sized to smaller guys who.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool to watch. So my number 5 I thought would be fun for a lot of reasons, and this could go up or down in the list. I like most of them for different reasons, but I thought it'd be cool to do Festival of Sport. That's my number 5.
I want to know which European country gets to do soccer or football.
France?
Really?
I don't know. I don't know the sport like you do.
Yeah, I mean,
you're
maybe
asking me, and you're the
I'm just trying to think.
expert.
Like, and then the other thing is like, is Canada hockey or is Canada lacrosse?
Hockey.
The national game of Canada is not hockey.
Yeah, it's well. Who says they can't do both though?
I know. I'm just saying. Like it's very.
But wouldn't that be cool?
Oh,
and you learn about things you wouldn't have learned. Like, not a lot of people know about cricket. I mean, you probably think it's common, but it's not. I mean, how many people even know what a cricket bat looks like? People are
probably not a lot,
right?
But not a lot in the U.S.
Yeah,
overseas definitely.
Well, that's why I thought it would be a cool thing. And cricket's big in India too, I think, right?
It's huge.
Not that there's a
huge, like massive. Yes.
So that was my 5. I figured you would dig that one.
Games last days. No, seriously, I'm not making that up. Games last days.
It's cool.
Cricket games last days, not a day, not an hour. So when people talk about baseball being too slow, cricket has entered the chat.
What do you have for 5?
My number 5 is kind of something that the reason it's 5 is because it would have to be short, and I don't really know. The other issue is it would likely have to move around every year because it's centered around a religious holiday, and I understand like the eye rolling going on the other side of the speakers here, but Mardi Gras / Carnival.
Oh yeah.
I think like that would be fun. We've mentioned it before.
Yeah. They do it over at Universal Studios. Yeah. It's a big push over there.
Yeah, I think it would be.
They don't own the rights to Mardi Gras.
Right. Yeah.
Anybody can create a Mardi Gras celebration.
So the reason that it's 5 on my list is because it's the one I have the least desire to have, because it would have to go kind of in a weird spot, and it would potentially interrupt Festival of the Arts and move that, which I think Festival of the Arts is criminally short. So I think that needs to get lengthened anyway. But Mardi Gras, Carnival, I think would be so much fun. They could, it could be Mardi Gras over in the America Pavilion, and then you kind of go over to more of a Carnival area. I'm not sure where they could put it because we don't have a Brazil or a South American. We've talked about that. The South American, we think there should be representation in the pavilions, and there's not one. But I'm not sure where they could put it, but I think it'd be fun. Why not? Or they could.
Why not?
Heck, they've said already they want the center of the festivals to be up front in Communicore.
And that's where the celebration is.
There you go. It doesn't have to be around the world.
Well, maybe they just continue the flags around the outside, and maybe there's also a tie-in and a focus with the Port Orleans resort.
Why?
know?
And here's the thing: why couldn't they do? So, EPCOT doesn't have a parade or anything like that, right? They could easily do like a carnival or a Mardi Gras style parade.
Mm-hmm.
So those parades are like remarkably, like they're just amazing, and they are really pretty. Like there's art, very artistic. It lends itself very well to a company based in creativity. But
I think about how wide the walkways are in some of the spots,
Right.
and can the floats fit? Which they could, but I don't think it necessarily has to go all the way around World Showcase. This parade can just be in the front.
it doesn't have to be floats.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it could be literally people like just
Or
walking
marching
around
bands or
walking around in
Yeah.
their regalia.
That's cool.
But yeah, that number 5, I don't have a ton to go on about it because it's really kind of it'd be a short one. It would be a short one, but Festival of the Arts is already short, so
Yeah.
why not do this? So Mardi Gras, number 5.
So my number 4, I'm calling the Festival of Time. And what I
Okay.
mean by that is there's going to be different food booths with people dressed up like certain decades.
Okay.
And to go all the way back to cowboy, and you can be, dressed up in that way or dressed up like 50s or 60s. And then I thought a little deeper about this because fashion has changed over time throughout the other countries, not just America. It's not just
Yeah.
about us and our specific fashion. So that might be a kind of interesting thing to do in some of the other countries too, is time, and you could wear like a traditional, like in Japan, traditional armor that they would wear, or just something interesting, and talk about a little bit more about history and as far as dress and food and that category. I know it's a little bit more of a stretch, but I thought it would be something that the different countries could all, participate in individually. Not all of mine have to do with each country, but at least my number 4 and my number 5 do, focusing on time, and it's wide open. It wouldn't be everybody's doing the 1950s,
I'm going to modify it.
Sure.
I think you could do it for 5 weeks and do 20 years at a time, and it's a reattending type of festival.
Yeah, people come back
And
to
so,
see.
like,
yeah,
So like, okay, this week we're in to borrow a phrase from a certain very famous pop singer, we're in this era.
Yeah.
We're in this era. So it's literally the time eras tour, if you will,
Yeah, cool.
of EPCOT. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I get where you're coming from because, you go to England, right? And you're in the UK pavilion and you're sitting there and, they're wearing their uniforms. They're wearing they don't call it uniform. Their costume, right? They call it because they're a cast member.
Yep.
So they're wearing their costume. Why not? Right? Why not evolve that costume throughout time?
That's what I'm saying.
And when you look at the food, you could easily kind of do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, you could have entertainment themed that way too. Like if you think about, so if you didn't go by like 20 years at a time, but you went maybe you're going back to the 1800s, colonial times. So
Right.
the entertainment is different. The music is different. The dancers or whatever. Like
that's what I was thinking. Western too, but
Yeah.
I know that that's not really a global thing.
Cool.
It's cowboys and westerns, but raising cattle and things like that obviously doesn't just happen in the United States. So, but I don't know. I was trying to really think big with these, think differently, and that was one I thought would be kind of fun and wide open, and they kind of can interpret it the way they wanted to. So my number 4, the Festival of Time.
Okay, I like it. My number 4 is going and taking a page out of another park's book. And here's the reason. They, at this park, have one of our festivals, but we do not have one of theirs. And that is Pixar Fest.
Oh, yeah.
So they have the Pixar Fest over in Disneyland.
They do.
And it
I was just seeing all the cool stuff that came along with it, too.
It's actually going on right now. April 26th through August 4th is this year. Doesn't need to be that long, obviously, here, but make it a festival. Have a unique, different nighttime spectacular, perhaps.
Yep.
Or at least maybe you could do, for instance, with the LEDs now on Spaceship Earth, you could do something there.
Oh, yeah.
And
make it into Mike Wazowski.
And what you could do is you could feature Pixar characters from each of the countries, right?
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So you've got Coco, and you've got Red is Pixar, right?
I don't know if it's Pixar. I should know that. Yes, because they're doing the red float, or there's a float for that. There's a float for Luca.
Yeah.
And there's a float for
Soul.
I think those are the three I've seen right now.
So Soul would be the United States. Like, I think it would be great. You could do that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And I understand the people who are Epcot purists who are like, do not bring more IP into Epcot.
That's their problem.
But yeah, I know. but here's my take. If you do it in a festival sort of way, I think you're better off.
Yeah.
And so I think it'd be fun. Why not? They've got it over
they would
there.
Sell a ton of merch.
And let's be honest, what is the demographic that Epcot struggles with? Kids.
Yeah.
So if you couple Pixar with really good food and drink, the parents are happy and the kids are happy.
Walk around characters.
Yeah, walk around characters, and you do like, I think it'd be great. I think it'd be a lot of fun. I know there are people who are like, that is not a good use of Epcot.
I haven't seen the Luca costumes yet. I wonder what they look like.
I haven't either.
I'm really looking forward to seeing those.
But I think it'd be great, because you could have, you've got Inside Out characters are already. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're already there. Might as well, or they were already there. I think she's moving, but I think it'd be great personally. And I would love to see
I'm on board for that too.
And especially because I think Coco is a criminally underrated movie. I love that movie, and I want to see more of it in the parks. So that's a great way to do it. So Pixar Fest is my number 4.
Well, mine actually. It's funny that you say this, focusing on a different demographic, which is kids. That's kind of what my number 3 is.
Okay.
Is to bring in families, bring in kids, that type of thing. My number 3 is the Festival of Royalty. And what's gonna happen is each country has a princess or prince meet and greet, so that the people who are the princess fans, or I notice I said people, could be guy, little gal, whatever, walking around. You get to France and you get to see Belle. And Germany, I think, is Cinderella, right? And then you can see all the different princesses as you walk around. Snow White. Snow White's Germany. What's Cinderella? France also?
I just know Snow White is Germany.
That definitely is.
Yeah.
But anyway, you go to the different countries and you get to see the different princesses. There's a princess meet and greet in every country, and that's kind of the focus for families to come in and see their person of royalty, and that's in quotes, because royalty doesn't literally mean like princess, for example, because there's certain Disney princesses that are not in your traditional sense of a princess.
Pocahontas could be in America.
Exactly.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Or Tiana.
But both. Like what I'm saying too is it doesn't have to be just the one. So if it's Cinderella and Snow White are both or maybe Cinderella's France. I don't know. Maybe you can look it up.
Cinderella's France.
It is. Okay. So there's 2. So then Cinderella would be France, and then Belle would also be France. So my point is you could have multiple meet and greets in certain places in the park.
Absolutely.
But I think that would be another way to kind of bring in families, young girls. And also, it's so funny that we're having this conversation about what country Cinderella is based in, because that's not really part of the discussion, but it could be. And the fact that you're going from country to country and that Cinderella isn't France, now in your brain, you're connecting those two things together, whereas we don't have that connection in our brain. We had to look that up.
So I want to point out something about your festival. So there's Festival of the Holidays, right?
Yeah.
And at Festival of the Holidays, every single one of them has their Christmas icons. So they've got they've got all the different stories being told by their Christmas icon. There's no reason that they couldn't tell the true story behind what these characters, these Disney royalty are.
Yeah.
I mean, lean right into the fact that it's Brothers Grimm and tell the story about it.
Yeah.
And that could be the interactive piece where it doesn't necessarily have to be a meet and greet, but just the same way that the icon, the Christmas icon tells their story, this princess or prince could tell their story as well.
See,
I think that'd be a lot of fun.
That was really fun because when we did Festival of the Holidays, like my favorite one, for example, was over in Norway, because they they had a person come out and tell the story, and they have the little staff.
Yeah.
You've probably seen it
Yeah.
online before.
Absolutely.
But that was so much fun to see in person. So that's
because they're
that
already,
would work out
those
great.
princesses already meet, right? You already can meet Snow White, and you can already meet Cinderella. You can already meet Belle. Those are things you can already do. But if they were telling their story,
Right.
like from the like what it was based on, I think that'd be kind of cool. It'd be like a storytelling, not just a royalty, but like a storytelling festival. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. So that's my number 3 is the Festival of Royalty. And we didn't mention the princes. The prince could tell a story too, or, my point is it doesn't all have to be little girls or little boys who like it. It's everybody. It's open, not just, everyone.
My number 3 is one that I know that you're going to lean into and love, but I wonder if perhaps it's on your list. My number 3 is, I'm calling it Spook Fest, but it could very easily just be Villains Fest.
I thought of that. It's not on my list, but I did entertain that idea.
I think
it's great. Continue.
I think. So here's the thing, and hear me out. This one in particular, I have specific ideas. Obviously, Spook Fest centers in the fall, right? That's an obvious thing. To me, this goes in before Festival of the Holidays, okay? Mm-hmm. Right now, that space is occupied by food and wine.
Wow, you can cut food and wine a little bit.
Well, here's the thing. There are 4 festivals currently at EPCOT. The only season that technically does not have one, even though it's crept its way into summer, is and all the way, even though food and wine's crept its way in, is summer. That's the only one that doesn't have its own festival, right?
Right.
So why not move food and wine to the summer? So it's a full-blown summer festival. You've got the spring festival is your spring festival. It would be your flower and garden, which it currently is. Your winter festival would still be Festival of the Holidays. You still have Festival of the Arts there, sandwiched in between. And then in the fall is Spook Fest or Villains Fest. Mm-hmm. And I don't care what they title it, but instead of having it be over the top scary, which is what your option is over in Universal, still have it be a little bit scary, not over the top.
I know where you're going with this.
But you've got Disney villains walking around from there.
Yeah,
you could easily have like the traditional ghost stories being told as entertainment.
That's where I thought you were going with this. That's cool. Yeah, definitely.
The food could be centered upon like maybe the darker side of food,
or they,
or like traditional fall foods,
right?
Like for instance, okay, you're in October, you're in that September-October time frame. Oktoberfest happens in September, not October, but like it happens around that same time. So Germany Pavilion, you've got that. Tell the real Brothers Grimm stories,
the scary ones,
which are scary as all get out.
Yeah,
right. Have somebody telling those. Have the villains there. Could you imagine like Mother Gothel walking around or something?
That'd be great.
Like have those kinds of things going on for Villains Fest / Spook Fest. I think it'd be great. I think it'd be a lot of fun. Again, they could incorporate Spaceship Earth with the new LED stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's my take. That's the thing that, and I got excited like thinking about this one. Like this is something that I think could really be a lot of fun. Think about the money people drop to go to Mickey's Not So Scary.
Yeah.
If you have a festival going on that's surrounding the whole idea, Halloween people are, they are heavy duty into Halloween. Like the number of people, like I just had somebody on, I was scrolling through the other day, right? And so this coming Monday is the 30th, I think, right? No, this Sunday is the 30th.
Yes.
Okay. So this person was like, well, we're almost 6 months away from Halloween. Happy.
Great.
So like they were like,
thanks for reminding me.
And they said something along the lines of like, we have Christmas in July. Why don't we have Halloween in March? And it's like, wow, these people, but they love it. And that's good. I'm glad they do. Let's give them what they want. Let's give these people a festival in Disney that celebrates their villains and their scary stuff and the stories that really these things evolve from. So Spook Fest / Villains Fest number 3.
That would do well too, definitely.
Yep.
So it's, again, mine ties with yours pretty well because it has to do with moving some things around.
Okay.
So right now, Festival of the Arts is right after Christmas, and it's a short one. I'd like to take Festival of the Arts, and then tack it on to the end of summer. And I think I have something that's going to work a little bit better after Festival of the Holidays. And it's because during this time of year, it's darker for longer. It goes dark around, 5 o'clock, right? So there's more time to do things that are involved with this festival. So I'm thinking my number 2 is Festival of Light. So what Festival of Light is going to be is there are going to be light installations, and everything is going to focus on, like, you bring, because there's artists that do this all the time. They create these like light installations. You put lights all over the park, all over the ground, and that invites people to come in at nighttime and invites people in. It can kind of continue from Christmas because, yes, Christmas is all about Christmas lights, but Christmas is such a short period of time for Festival of the Holidays. You could do Festival of Light for like 2 months because it's dark enough where and it could even be like a special event. Maybe you come back at night for a ticketed event. So I didn't really have a good food tie-in with this one, but I don't think it really matters.
I mean, is there food that ties into art?
No. I mean, well, they do. They make it work.
They make it work, exactly.
I just think of how incredible it would look. And let's use, there's a couple places in Disney that are absolutely incredible at night. And the first one that comes to mind is Pandora, where everything glows. It's so incredible there, which I know you haven't done yet, but I'm sure you will at some point.
I can't, because when we go during the summer, it's still light.
It's still light out, and that's why I'm thinking that has to be during that time period.
Yep.
Don't bump Festival of the Holidays. That's fine. That's a great one.
Right.
That's why I'm thinking this could be January, February, or somewhere around there.
Replace Festival of the Arts and move that.
Right. So that was kind of my idea for that specific festival. I think it could be really cool. I think it could be beautiful, and I think it would be a huge hit. I know it's a smaller amount of time, but
yeah.
Maybe it's a repeat visit. I don't know. Again, I'm trying to think of something totally different that would go over really well too.
Yeah,
Again, Spaceship Earth could be part of that. They put different light things on the outside. Maybe there's a different light show that they do in the middle, all for the Festival of the Lights. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I think they could build these things in the lagoon there. Mm-hmm. They're like they kind of look like tacos. And they spray water, and we shine light on them. Well, what do you think about that?
Only,
sorry,
it's not even worth. It's not even worth it. That's an open and closed joke. Yeah, I can't even stack on top of that. They probably have them in the back somewhere, right?
Yeah, I think they're at Goodwill.
Yeah,
I saw them at Goodwill. Or no, is it
Cast Connections Goodwill?
Yeah,
there's a Goodwill part of Cast Connections.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, Eric's laughing at us.
All right. So first of all, I think it's hilarious that we did not. I was certain we would match up with stuff. Now
I still got one more.
I know. I don't think that you're matching up with my number 2, but I do think we matched our number 1. Because I'm shocked that you'll get there.
Okay.
Number 2, Summerfest.
Great. Awesome.
This leans into the fact that, like I said last time, there isn't a festival specifically for summer.
I actually thought of something similar. I thought of Festival of the Sun, and I couldn't really.
Yes, but Sunfest, Festival of the Sun.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: all around the world, cultures celebrate the solstice. They celebrate those solar and those I don't know what you want to call, but all the events, celestial events. Right.
There you go. Yep.
So, we have for instance, we have a solar eclipse coming up in 2 weeks, or less than that, a week and a half. And we're in the path of totality, and everybody's celebrating it, right? But cultures around the world celebrate the sun and celebrate the summer because it's the time of growing and renewal. Why not celebrate it in the place that's the sunniest place as far as like how hot it is? I think it'd be great. You could easily do summer-inspired foods.
I was thinking that too.
So you know,
corn on the cob, roast it.
Yeah, and every country's got their own traditions during the summer. You could do a lot of festival-type things that like happen in local towns. We have a festival, right? And the festival is full of crafts and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Vendors. Every place I've ever been to has a summer fest. Every town I've ever lived in has some sort of summer festival, except for Disney. Disney does not have a summer festival. I think it would be really cool. It'd be a lot of fun. I think that they could have cool entertainment, but the food tie-in is really easy, and it leans into the fact that, hey, it's hot as Hades here.
Yep.
Like let's do something with that. Again, the light show on Spaceship Earth could be customized.
Yeah.
I just think that it's taking advantage of something that's already obviously there, which is the heat and the summer. Let's lean into it and let's have something fun with summer.
I started with seasons and weather, and then I got to sun, and then I went, I don't know how I'm going to tie it all together, but yeah, you did. That was a good way to tie it all together. That was cool. Yeah, that's a good one.
Number one?
My number one.
Hold on, I'm just gonna say I think we're gonna match up.
Sure.
Okay.
My number one involves. You'll know by the lead up here. My number one involves taking Festival of the Arts and dividing it up into two separate things.
Okay.
Okay, you're shaking.
I think we are.
Yeah. So Festival of the Arts has an S on the end, which can include visual arts, music, and performance. So it's going to be split. So there's going to be a separate one, and I know what you're naming yours, but I named mine something different, I bet.
You don't know what I'm naming mine.
I named it Festival of Sound.
Oh, that's better than mine.
So Festival of Sound doesn't necessarily have to do specifically with music, but that's kind of the goal. So you're celebrating.
So just so
music.
we're clear, we definitely match up.
Yeah.
Mine was celebration of music.
Yeah,
we're good to go.
Which is great.
Yeah.
And I just thought pull back a little bit more and think Festival of Sound, because let's say, like Australia, I know there is an Australian pavilion, but you think of like the didgeridoo, right? Someone's playing the didgeridoo, which is music, but it's not. It's still also sound. And there's so many different things in cultures that are sound-based, but aren't necessarily in the realm of being categorized as music. So I thought it would sound cooler, no pun intended, calling it Festival of Sound and just really dividing those two things out. And then you have, it's the easiest thing to do in all of the different countries. It's culturally.
Yeah, you got Haka, right? So like the Maori, so like that's exactly what I was thinking too. Is that it doesn't have to be just about music. Now, don't get me wrong, there's gonna be lots of music.
Oh, definitely. And you look at the new stage that they have set up too, and it takes advantage of that. Mm-hmm. Let's say you have like a 45-minute show, which I think is probably a good length for Disney for 45 minutes. What would happen during that time is then you have a changeover for 15 minutes, a new group comes up, changeover for 15, new group comes up. During that 45 minutes, it transitions through the different countries of the world, their style of music, maybe like, let's say you have Bollywood dancers come out and you do that style of music, or anyway, I just think it's something that would be so easy to do and so much fun. And my interest level for something like this is incredibly high. You
take my money.
Yeah.
If EPCOT does a music festival, and they put it anywhere, I don't care where it is, that's a festival that there's a very strong possibility I say, I'm going to find a way, whether it's during a vacation where it's going to be super crowded or not, to go to that festival, because I, like you, love music. My family loves music. Like, it's just, my thoughts were a little different, but I like what you've said about the sound, the whole thing of sound.
Yeah.
But like,
just trying to open it up.
But my thoughts were even like, okay, so some of the countries have their own stage, but what if they did on the big stage in World Showcase?
I think I know what you're going to say.
They have a rotation of bands.
Yeah.
And
I was going to say that too.
And they're popular bands.
But it depends on who's touring through.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter, right? Because they get popular people for Eat to the Beat with festival.
Yeah.
So they can for the festival of Food and Wine Festival, Eat to the Beat. There's no reason they couldn't get. They might not be like headliners. You're not going to pull Taylor Swift into EPCOT.
No, but you're going to get a mid-level group. You could get
Sam Roberts band from Canada, or get a folky type band, maybe even like a Dispatch or like a OAR playing there. Well, both those are a little bit too big, but like bands that are American. Okay, they're there, and then you've got we get David Hasselhoff for Germany.
Yeah,
I'm joking.
Well,
there,
and I don't
not.
think it would be out of the question to get a band like Weezer or Smashing Pumpkins. I'm trying to think of a band that's
Billy Corgan's a huge Disney fan.
He is, and you look at the size of those groups and the longevity. They can play. If those groups come together, they could probably play stadiums at this point. Well, not stadiums, like arenas, not stadiums.
Arenas,
There's a difference. Like a hockey arena, they could play together, but I think you could pay those groups enough that probably, roughly the amount they would get for playing a larger venue. I mean, think of how that would draw. Like, oh my God, we're going to EPCOT and we're seeing Weezer.
Right.
Like, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I mean, Green Day's a little big. Even think of the level.
Even tribute bands, right?
Yeah, and that'd be okay too.
So you
like
have
you bring in the Beatles tribute band. Oh my God.
Or like there's Rush tribute bands. So you have plenty of stuff that you could work on. And oh, by the way, you own a library of amazingly well-written music that you could easily take. Okay, in the back, in the American Pavilion on that stage are the country-specific stuff. And that stage you just built that you're going to have Encanto on this summer. Now up there is Disney inspired, like it's bands playing Disney covers.
Oh my God, I didn't even think of that.
You know what I mean?
Oh, that'd be funny too.
Like it'd be so much fun. Like, so up there are bands playing Disney covers, and in the back is like concert from that country, a band from that country. Or, you bring in a Celtic music band, right? Yeah. I think it'd be great. I love music. I know you love music. Our listeners at this point, if they don't know, they haven't been listening long enough because, you're obviously in bands. I knew that music festival was going to be on your list, and I suspected it would be here. And that's why I was like, we're going to match up with one.
Yeah, that would be my number one draw. If there was a festival of music, festival of sound, and they get a decent headlining band to see. And I would really want to go and hear the traditional music and the popular music, both. Because these countries, I mean, you think of Japan, like Japan has amazing traditional style music. And then their pop music and their rock and heavy metal is like on another level. It's so good.
Yeah.
And then another thing too is, how you have these little booths set up for food, this or that. Like you can have a K-pop group or something for Korea, but it's like it doesn't have to be just those countries, because there's all those times where we say, Brazil's underrepresented, or not just Brazil, and really any country,
Africa,
but
in general,
it's really easy to just book that group and feature that country up on the stage. Then that country gets representation.
Yeah, and to me, one of the bigger things about this too is that this is the first time you haven't heard me say, well, this is how we could tie in food. And the reason is because I would go despite the fact that there's not...
I don't care what the food is.
I don't care. Like, you could give me a corn dog and I'll be happy.
Yeah,
like,
it doesn't matter.
I mean, if you really want to go and
this is all about something else.
Right. And here's the thing. So my number 2 was Summerfest. I kind of forced myself to split those two up, but it doesn't have to be, because what do you do in the summer when you were in college, or at least when I was in college, when I was doing it? One of the things I loved to do is going to music festivals or going to concerts that were outdoors. Like I still do. Yeah, I'm sure you did that a lot too.
Yeah.
So Summerfest and Music Fest could easily mutate into some like the Celebration of Sound, like I said, or yours was Festival of Sound.
Well, and a lot of those bands are on tour in the summer anyways. Especially the different country groups and
Summer of Sound.
There you go. That's great.
Boom, done.
Just combine both of them.
Summer of Sound. So you have the summer foods, and you have the sound stuff.
Brad Paisley's coming through,
or Sounds of Summer.
Brad Paisley's going to do a concert this night.
Paisley in EPCOT.
Well, I think he's big, but like I think he's the right size.
Dude, I don't think so. That would be problematic.
He's an incredible guitar player. You ever hear?
Yes.
You ever watch him just play guitar?
Yes,
He's an amazing guitar player.
EPCOT would be jammed for Brad Paisley.
Great, and that's what they want. I mean, the stage probably wouldn't be big enough.
No, he plays some pretty big venues.
Let's say they put a temporary stage flipped the opposite way, so everyone around, World Showcase Lagoon gets to, put up a big screen. You get to see and hear the artist.
Like he just sold out the Mohegan Sun. So just throwing it out there.
No, that's awesome. I have a lot of respect for that guy.
I mean, that's a big venue.
Yeah.
It's that particular venue. They do stage shows in the round, so they have seats behind the stage usually. And it's as big as any hockey arena you've been in.
That's
it's
cool.
like it'd be selling out the MSG.
Huh.
So, but either way, I do agree that getting people that are either on the way down or on the way up, or just people who maybe are traditional, folk singers that don't have a lot of time. You get people that American Idol past contestants. You get The Voice past contestants, whatever. But I think that's a great idea. I mean, obviously, I put it at number one. You put it at number one. I'm not shocked. Did you have any honorable mentions?
No. Well, the only ones that I remember that kind of went through my head that I couldn't really figure out how to do it was like weather and seasons and then sun, and it turned into that. And then the other one was something that had to do with like heroes and villains in some kind of way, which I know the cruise ship is going to be that now.
Yeah.
But that was the other ones I was sort of workshopping and had on the list. So. Yeah. And you ended up figuring them out on your list. So that was great.
So here's the thing. What we want to hear the most is what you think. So I'm hoping that what you'll do is when this episode comes out, please comment on our Facebook and our, not Facebook, sorry, comment on our Instagram. You can comment on our Facebook, but it's less active. So comment over on Instagram, send us a message over on Patreon because you joined as a free member and you want to send us messages there. But do those things. Give us feedback. Let us know what festivals you thought were good, which ones you think that was a dumb idea, and more importantly, I want to know what you think and what festivals you want to hear, and you want to have. We both do, not just me. Rob wants to know too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I love when I hear that stuff.
So this has been a fun one. It was cool to get back to our roots and do a list here, a ranking list, especially after we did that month of the March Madness. Sorry, not supposed to say that. Disney Park Madness, I think, is how I've been posting it. But it's been a lot of fun.
Well, then I've been saying the wrong thing in the intro of every show.
Fine. I don't think that the NCAA is going to come after us. Name, image, likeness. Let us know in the comments, though, about what festival you'd like to see over at EPCOT. But it's been a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, and tomorrow's just a list away.
Tune in next time, and we'll see you real soon.